river floods, flash floods, when water becomes one of the deadliest forces on Earth. It can flood hundreds of square miles for weeks on end, or wash away entire communities in a matter of minutes. The men and women of NOAA's National Weather Service track the path of water's fury, because your life could depend on it. In an average year, about 100 U.S. citizens lose their lives to floods, and the extreme damage caused by floods costs taxpayers an average of $5 billion.
The magnitude of it and the devastation can go on for days and weeks and months.
It might surprise you to learn that more than half of all presidential natural disaster declarations are for flood damage, more than for tornadoes and even hurricanes.
When you go into areas after flooding and you talk to people, they say, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I never imagined that this could happen.
But that's what happens to the small town of Shadyside, Ohio, when it's blindsided by a devastating flash flood on June 14, 1990. Record amounts of rainfall saturate the ground around Shadyside. The land becomes too wet to absorb another 4 inches of driving rain that drops in just over an hour. A 3-story wall of water decimates trees, roads, and houses as it barrels down the valley.
Probably the amazing things that we'd never seen before was the utter total destruction in one point, and just a few feet down the road, it didn't touch anything. But wherever the floodwaters hit, it was total destruction and loss of life.
The rushing water flips over trucks like toys and sweeps livestock out of barns and stables. And many people's loved ones perish in the flood. People like Robert Ramsey, who loses his wife.
I wanted to be the one to find my wife, but I didn't want to be the one to find her. Can you understand that?
Most tragic of all are the many children who die that day.
You know, you came down this road all your life and you knew all these people, and I'm a school teacher and I knew children that lived on this road, and some of them are unaccounted for.
I found one little boy laying right up here, about a 6-7-year-old boy. There wasn't nothing I could do.
Our first and foremost concern is for the pain and uncertainty that many in the community here feel.
I was the coordinator for the County Emergency Management Agency at that time, and we lost 26 of our citizens' lives. A very traumatic event for the families, the lost loved ones, and also for the people that responded and tried to respond and recover from it.
The people of Shadyside were the victims of a flash flood, a mass of rushing water that formed so quickly nobody knew what hit them.
It was one of these events where the water fell upstream of where most of the people were, and the people that were ended up being flooded were not aware of the heavy rain that had occurred upstream, and they were not aware of anything going on until the flood wave actually hit them and actually took houses off foundations. So it was a very extreme event.
Flash floods are harder to predict than general river floods because from start to finish, a flash flood event can happen in less than an hour, enough time to cause utter devastation, but not much time to alert and evacuate those in harm's way. That's why flash floods are one of the worst severe weather-related killers in the United States.
I don't think you're ever totally prepared for this, and the only thing we try to do is to improve our capabilities.
The key to improving those capabilities is to understand how flash floods form, and NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is leading the charge.
Flash floods are extremely challenging in terms of knowing exactly the area where the most significant rainfall is falling, and the conditions of the ground are very important to know.
Bob Davis is a lead forecaster at NOAA's National Weather Service Forecast Office in Pittsburgh. Events like the Shadyside flood inspired Bob to painstakingly map the region's 10,000 stream basins. That data, combined with real-time radar, provides highly detailed rainfall readings of the local watersheds.
Bob has actually redefined all our river basins down to a very, very small level. So because of his work, we can actually go in and monitor these very small river basins. And many times that's where the flash floods occur. That's where the fatalities occur. That's where the damage occurs on these very small basins.
Prior to this, all we had were the radar amounts of rainfall on a county map background, and we would not necessarily know which creeks were involved in receiving that heavy rain.
Bob's efforts became part of a new age of flood forecasting at NOAA, known as the Advanced Hydrologic Prediction Service, or AHAPS for short. Now forecasters can provide quicker and more accurate flash flood predictions by combining Doppler radar scans with data on stream conditions.
We'll try to put the warning out before we have actually enough rainfall to flood, because we want to give as much time for the emergency folks to react to the warning as we can.
Hi, State Warning Point. This is Pittsburgh Weather. Yeah, we just want to make sure you receive the flash flood warning for Belmont County.
1, 2, 3, we got you.
And during storm events, we have a good line of communication opened up at all times with them, both on the phone and radio.
Okay, we've got high levels of stream flow on all 5 basins, and probably very much more. We're going to be having some problems.
We look back 20 years ago into the mid-'80s. Our lead times then, and we didn't have the radars or the technology we have today, were only about a half hour. And last year our lead time was almost 68 minutes.
Had Pittsburgh's current forecasting system been available in 1990, chances are the extra lead time it provides would have helped lower the death toll in Shadyside.
We had no idea that that kind of flooding was taking place. We didn't have this type of technology. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have the information. And with the work of Bob Davis, we now can hone in, actually focus on these areas down to a very small scale, and has made prediction and detection much, much better than it was, again, even 10 years ago.
NOAA's National Weather Service can pinpoint dangerous flash floods and provide earlier warnings than ever before. Coming up, a flash flood overturns a busload of school children.
Right there, Mike. She's floating in the water right there.
Can rescuers get them out in time? Find out next. It happens all too often.
So everything was going fine, then all of a sudden, we just started moving off the bridge.
Time and again, people try to drive through flooded roadways and end up at Mother Nature's mercy.
I see my whole life flashing before my eyes. It was unbelievable. Would you cross that water again? Oh no, I didn't know it was that high at that moment.
Only about 1.5 feet of water moving at 6 to 10 miles an hour can make your car a boat immediately.
That's one reason NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has implemented a public awareness campaign called Turn Around, Don't Drown.
The primary focus of the Turn Around, Don't Drown program is to tell people to be careful when they come to water-covered roadways.
Don't try to go across that flooded stream. Turn around and find an alternative way to get where you want to go. And if you do that, you'll get there. Because if you do it the other way, the odds are against you.
We have more fatalities due to people driving their cars through water-covered roadways than any other type of flooding.
In the summer of 1987, tragedy strikes in Texas when a bus full of school children tries to cross a flooded road and is sideswiped by a 10-foot wall of water.
The bus wouldn't go no more and it started sinking. And the water started getting real high and our youth pastor said, let's get out and try to get to the bank.
17-year-old Chris Ray is the first to be rescued, while many of his friends cling to trees for dear life as the water continues to rise.
How many are there of you? There's about 40. How many? 40 in the bus?
For 5 desperate hours, rescuers pluck terrified students out of the raging water. But sometimes the current just moves too quickly. 10 of the 43 children from the bus are lost that day. It's a sobering reminder of the lethal force of a flash flood. But roads aren't perilous only